Oh, hey kids. Caught me in the middle of making a care package for a friend of mine. Friends are important, but sometimes it's hard to be a good friend. You always want to be a good friend, but sometimes, you could do more, but you just don't know how to. It's like sometimes your friends don't want to show how they feel, so it's hard to know what you want to do without them telling you. Now, it's important to remember that even though you don't know what to do to help your friend, you should always, more than anything, remind them that they have friends and that you're there for them. Like what I'm doing right now. My friend lives in Arizona, and I'm just making up a care package for her. So I've got a bunch of stuff here. We got some comic books. I got a keychain, a poster, and of course I got to write the letter to explain everything. And then we got a book. And I know it's a book she really likes, so I thought I'd send it to her. But first, maybe I should read it to you guys. It's a popular one, so you've probably already heard the story. But I think we could read it once. What do you think? Should we read it? Let's go read it. Okay. So today we'll be reading The Lorax by Dr. Seuss. It's published by Random House in New York. And with a dedication for Audrey, Lark, and Leah with love. Now we talked about what dedications are, but just so you know, it's when an author, somebody who writes the book, wants to say, this book was for this person. I wrote it to show how much I cared about them. But that's fun and all, but let's get to the book, right? The Lorax by Dr. Seuss. At the far end of town, where the grickle grass grows, and the wind smells slow and sour when it blows, and no birds ever sing, excepting old crows, is the street of the lifted Lorax. Deep in the grickle grass, some people say, if you look deep enough, you can still see today, where the Lorax once stood, just as long as it could, before somebody lifted the Lorax away. What was the Lorax, and why was it there? And why was it lifted and taken somewhere? From the far end of town where the grickle grass grows, the old onceler still lives there. Ask him, he knows. You won't see the onceler. Don't knock at his door. He stays in his lurkin on top of his store. He lurks in his lurkin, cold under the roof, where he makes his own clothes out of muffled muff. And on special dank midnights in August he peeks out of shutters, and sometimes he speaks and tells how the Lorax was lifted away. He'll tell you, perhaps, if you're willing to pay. On the end of a rope he lets down a tin pail, if you have to toss in 15 cents, and a nail, and the shell of a great-great-grandfather snail. Then he pulls up the pail, makes a most careful count, to see if you've paid him the proper amount. Then he hides what you've paid him away in his snub, his secret strange hole, in his gloveless glove. Then he grunts, I will call you by whisper my phone, for the secrets I tell are for your ears alone. Schlup! Down slups the whisper-ma-phone to your ear, and the old onceler whispers are not very clear, since they have to come down through a snurgly hose, and he sounds as if he had smallish bees up his nose. Now I'll tell you, he says, with his teeth sounding gray, how the Lorax got lifted and taken away. It all started way back, such a long, long time back. Way back in the days when the grass was still green and the pond was still wet and the clouds were still clean and the song of the swomy swans rang out in space. One morning I came to this glorious place and I first saw the trees, the Trefella trees, the bright-colored tufts of the Trefella trees, mile after mile in the fresh morning breeze. And under the trees I saw brown barbaloots frisking about in their barbaloot suits as they played in the shade and ate Trefella fruits. From the rippleous pond came a comfortable sound of a humming fish humming while splashing around. But those Trefella trees, all my life I'd been searching for trees such as these. The touch of their tufts was much softer than silk, and they had the sweet smell of fresh butterfly milk. I felt a great leaping of joy in my heart. I knew just what I'd do. I'd unload my cart. In no time at all, I had built a small shop. Then I chopped down the Trefella tree in one chop. And with great skillful skill, and with great speedy speed, I took a soft tuft, and I knitted a theed. The instant I finished, I heard a gazump. I looked. I saw something pop out of the stump of the tree I chopped down. It was a sort of man. Describe him? That's hard. I don't know if I can. He was shortish and oldish, and brownish with mossy, and he spoke with a voice that was sharpish and bossy. "Mister," he said with a sawdusty sneeze, "I am the Lorax. I speak for the trees. I speak for the trees have no tongues. And I am asking you, sir, at the top of my lungs." He was very upset as he shouted and puffed, "What's that thing you've made out of my Trefella stuff?" "Look, Lorax," I said, "there's no cause for alarm. I chopped just one tree. I am doing no harm. I'm being quite useful. This thing is a thneed. A thneed's a fine something that all people need. It's a shirt, it's a sock, it's a glove, it's a hat. But it has other uses, yes, far beyond that. You can use it for carpets, for pillows, for sheets, or curtains, or covers for bicycle seats." The Lorax said, "Sir, you are crazy with greed. There's no one on earth who would buy that fool thneed." But the very next minute I proved he was wrong. For just at that minute a chap came along, and he thought that the theed I had knitted was great. He happily bought it for $3.98. I laughed at the Lorax. "You poor stupid guy. You never can tell what some people will buy." "I repeat," cried the Lorax, "I speak for the trees." "I'm busy," I told him. "Shut up, if you please." I rushed across the room, and in no time at all, built a radio phone. I put in a quick call. I called all my brothers and uncles and aunts, and I said, "Listen here, here's a wonderful chance for the whole One-Cellar family to get mighty rich. Get over here fast. Take the road to North Nitch. Turn left at Weehawken, sharp right at South Stitch." And in no time at all, in the factory I built, the whole One-Cellar family was working full tilt. We were all knitting thneeds, just as busy as bees, to the sound of the chopping of Trefella trees. Then, oh baby, oh, how my business did grow. Now chopping one tree at a time was too slow. So I quickly invented my super axe hacker, which whacked off the 4 till the trees at one smacker. We were making thneeds 4 times as fast as before, and that Lorax, he didn't show up anymore. But the next week, he knocked on my new office door. He snapped, "I'm the Lorax who speaks for the trees. You seem to be chopping as fast as you please. But I'm also in charge of the brown barbaloots who played in the shade in their barbabaloot and happily lived eating Trefella fruits." No, thanks to your hacking my trees to the ground, there's not enough to fill a fruit to go around. And my poor baloots are all getting the crummies because they have gas and no food in their tummies. We love living here, but I can't let them stay. They'll have to find food, and I hope that they may. Good luck, boys, he cried, and he sent them away. I, the one seller, felt sad as I watched them all go. But business is business, and business must grow, regardless of crummies and tummies, you know. I meant no harm. I most truly did not. But I had to grow bigger, so bigger I got. I biggered my factory, I biggered my roads, I biggered my wagons, and I biggered the loads. Of the seeds I shipped out, I was shipping them forth, to the south, to the east, to the west, to the north. I went right on biggering, selling more needs, and I biggered my money, which everyone needs. Then again he came back. I was fixing some pipes, when that old nuisance Lorax came back with more gripes. I am the Lorax, he coughed as he whiffed. He sneezed and he huffed. He snargled, he sniffed. One seller, he cried, with a cuffuferous croak. One seller, you're making such a glorious smoke. My poor swony swans, why they can't sing a note. No one can sing who has smog in their throat. And so, said the Lorax, please pardon my cough. They cannot live here, so I'm sending them off. Where will they go? I don't hopefully know. They may have to fly a month or a year to escape the smog you've smuggled around here. Once more, snapped the Lorax, his dander was up. Let me say a few words about your gluppity-glup. Your machinery chugs on day and night without stop, making gluppity-glup, also sloppity slop. And what do you do with this leftover goo? I'll show you, you dirty one-seller man, you. You're glumping the pond where the humming fish hummed. No more can they hum, for their gills are all gummed. So I'm sending them off. Oh, their future is dreary. They'll walk on their fins and get woefully weary, in search of some water that isn't so smeary. And then I got mad. I got terribly mad. I yelled at the Lorax. Now listen here, Dad. All you do is yap yap and say, bad, 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 bad. Well, I have my rights, sir, and I'm telling you, I intend to go on doing just what I do. And for your information, you Lorax, I'm figuring on biggering and biggering and biggering and biggering, turning more trofella trees into needs, which everyone needs. And at that very moment, we heard a loud thwack. From outside in the fields came a sickening smack of an axe on a tree. Then we heard the tree fall, the very last trofella tree of them all. No more trees, no more needs, no more work to be done. So in no time my uncles, aunts, everyone, all waved me goodbye. They jumped into my cars and drove away under smoke-smuggered stars. Now all that was left neath the bad-smelling sky was my big empty factory, the Lorax and I. The Lorax said nothing, just gave me a glance. He gave me a very sad backwards glance, as he lifted himself by the seat of his pants, and I'll never forget the grim look on his face, when he hoisted himself and took leave of this place, through a hole in the smog, without leaving a trace. And all that the Lorax left here in this mess was a small pile of rocks, with the one word, unless. Whatever that means, well, I just couldn't guess. That was long ago, but each day since that day, I've sat here and worried away. Through the years, while my building has fallen apart, I've worried about it with all of my heart. But now, said the one seller, now that you're here, the word of the Lorax seems perfectly clear. Unless someone like you cares a whole awful lot, nothing is going to get better, it's not. So, Catch! Calls the one seller. He lets something fall. It's a Trofella seed. It's the last one of all. You're in charge of the last Trofella seed. The Trofella trees are what everyone needs. Plant a new Trofella. Treat it with care. Give it clean water. And feed it fresh air. Grow a forest protected from axes that hack. Then the Lorax and all of his friends may come back. And I guess that's the end. Unless someone like you cares a whole awful lot, nothing's going to get better. It's not. Guess we learned something else today. We have to treat our environment pretty good too. And we'll talk about that at another time, but it is a good thing to think about. Now, this book should be pretty easy to get. If you just go to any bookstore and say, hey, I would like a copy of the Lorax. If they don't have it, they can get it for you. And I'm sure you can just do a search for the Lorax online and find that too. But it's time to get back to packing up stuff for my friend. Well, I hope you liked that story. I know I did. And now that it's done, part of me doesn't want to get rid of this book. But you know what? I got it for my friend. It's something that's very special to her. So I'm going to stick to my guns and send it to her because I know she'd be happier to have it than I ever would.